Media buying is more automated than ever, and creative is the new targeting, but it's not easy to build a system that consistently puts out high quality creative for your business. So that's why today I'm going to be sharing 10 types of creative that you need to be testing right now on Facebook. All of these creative types are battle tested, and I know that because I run them myself regularly for my marketing agency. And stick around because there's one at the end that you might not expect. So let's get into it. The first type of ad is what I call the soundtrack and overlay. Now, this is a very simple type of ad because it requires no voiceover, no extra footage from creators. You're just using your existing B-roll library and applying a script to it. And I love these type of ads because there are no frills to them. There's nothing cute or clever about them. They're just straight down the middle, pure conversion focused direct response scripts. And that's something that I find really interesting because people have a lot to say about taking big creative swings and doing something that's different or out of the box. But when people do this, they often forget to convey the value props of the product, which is ultimately why someone is going to click through. They're not going to click through because they found your ad entertaining or they found it funny or they want to share it with their friends. At the end of the day, we don't want someone to watch your ad and think, oh, this is a great ad. We want them to watch your ad and think, oh, where can I buy this? And on top of that, because they don't require any extra work from creators, aside from the content library that you've already got, it means you can produce a ton of these types of videos in a very short space of time. So you can literally have ChatGPT drum up 20 scripts, and if you don't know how to do that, then watch this video, and then send it over to your editors and have one of these done within less than an hour inside the ad account. And the same goes for AI voiceovers and text-to-speech voiceovers. These are all volume plays in which you can make a lot of creative in a short space of time, which is going to allow you to do a lot more creative testing. The second type of creative that you should be testing is the testimonial mashup. Now, the reason that these work is because, look, people are not on their Facebook and Instagram feed to watch ads. Actually, that's the last thing that they want to do. They're on their feed so that they can watch memes and look at friends and family members. That means that you have a very short space of time to, number one, convince them to watch the rest of the video, and number two, click through to the landing page. So that real estate that you've got in those first 3 seconds is precious. And one of the best ways that you can convey your value props quickly is by showing social proof in the form of testimonials. So what you're going to do is you're going to get 5 to 10 testimonials from users or creators, and then you're going to mash that content up into a compilation. Or even better, you get your customers to shoot this content. Now, that is not easy, but if you can convince your customers to set up their phone and start talking about your product, 9 times out of 10, they will be able to speak much more authentically about your product than any creator or influencer. It's ironic because we call it UGC, but we don't actually get users to do it anymore. So if you can in any way get your customers in front of the camera, that's something that's worth testing. And even if not, you should definitely be trying out testimonial mashups because they generally work well across the board. The next type of concept is the 3 reasons why. And this is another example of what I'd call straight line advertising, where we're not trying to be too cute or too clever. We're not even necessarily trying to hide the fact that it's an ad. It's just straight down the middle and it just works. So you'll say something along the lines of 3 reasons why I love this camera, or 3 reasons why men are switching to these jeans. And then you're going to list your value props starting with the highest priority one from 1 to 3. I will go as far to say as customers will know that this is an ad. This has been done so much by advertisers over the last 12 months, but we are still seeing them perform really well in ad accounts. In fact, we've got a client who spends over 500k a month on paid social, and just last month we had their best performer be a 3 reasons why. There was nothing special about it. It was very simple with direct call outs. And ironically, the soft metrics were pretty poor. I mean, people generally didn't stay around to watch the ad, but the ones that did were warm leads and they converted at a higher rate. And that led to the ad being the best performer inside the ad account for the last 6 weeks. There are a couple of different ways you could spin this angle. I've seen a few people use 3 reasons why I hate and then go on to explain why you would hate the product. For example, I'm really annoyed at my boyfriend because how is he going to top this gift? Or something along those lines. And you can tie it into your value props and give people reasons why they wouldn't like the product, but actually why they would, which I guess makes it feel a little bit more organic. I've also seen people use 3 myths and then go for the educational angle. 3 myths about guys' t-shirts, and then you would go on to handle the objections that guys have about buying t-shirts. In general, this style of ad will work very well if you've got an educational angle. The next style is one of my favorite ad types right now, and also one of the best performing ad types right now, and that is the podcast style. Now, the idea here is, as with a lot of the concept styles that I'm going to be talking about today, you want to meet people where they're at. Instead of going out of your way to make an ad, Work out what your target customer is already seeing on their feed and think about how you can recreate that experience. And that's exactly what you're doing with the podcast style. There are over 500 million people who regularly listen to podcasts. So this can be a really effective angle, especially if you're in a niche that already has an audience that actively listen to podcasts. And you're gonna set this up as a 2-person interview where you're gonna use the same problem solution structure that you would usually use on an ad. But instead of one person sitting there talking to the camera, the host is going to set up the problem by saying, hey, have you heard how people are facing XYZ? And the co-host is going to come in and say, yeah, I have, but have you heard about this product? And then go on to explain the product as they would do on a podcast. But the beauty of this angle is that you don't even have to have 2 people to set it up. You could literally do this on your own if you had a list of prompting questions that you can get from ChatGPT and just start talking about the product. And if you set up the background properly, it will still look like a podcast. And when these podcast ads are well executed, they will stay in your ad account performing for a long time. The only caveat is that they're not going to work well for everyone. Once again, they will work better for brands that need education. I wouldn't necessarily do this if I was selling popcorn or licorice. The next ad style is the before and after. Now, the reason these work so well is, as we discussed earlier, that first 1 to 2 seconds is very precious real estate in your ad. And what a before and after does is within half a second, you are communicating to your target customer exactly what your product does and more importantly, how it can benefit them. And if you are calling out a problem that they're actively trying to solve, then they are going to give you their attention. You want to call out where they currently are, show them where they want to get to, and then position your product as the bridge. And the great thing about before and afters is that they can very easily be used as statics or GIFs, because as we said, the transformation is what does the selling. The next type of ad is the post-it note ad. And I love these once again because they're very simple and they can be very effective. You'll see a common theme in this video is that I like things that are simple, scalable, and they work. And that's exactly what post-it notes do. I'm in ad accounts that we have spent thousands of dollars on high production ads for, and they are literally being beaten by stupid post-it note ads that has a product and it has a post-it note and it has a message on the post-it note. But it's interesting to think about the psychology behind it, because when you're putting a message on a post-it note, the reader is stopping, they are reading that message, and if the message is enticing enough, you've got them to understand the value props. And all of this creates buy-in. So a lot of our statics, a lot of our hooks have messages not just on post-it notes, but on whiteboards, on walls, on balloons. I like to think any creative way in which we can write a message about the product to stop someone in their tracks and get them to read that message. They make great hooks, they make great statics, and in general, they are a good way to get people's attention. The next ad style is what I call one take in. And this is where you take your phone, you hit record, and you just start talking about your product. And once again, this is not flashy, it's very basic, but you know what? It recreates the experience that people are getting inside of their organic feed already. And remember, that is all we are trying to do here. Because when someone turns on their phone and they don't care about lighting and they don't care about B-roll or editing, ultimately it makes it feel less like an ad. So when we're working with creators, yes, we have our scripts and our briefs that we send to them, but at the same time, we'd encourage them, just hit record, start talking, and we will cut out all the bits that don't make sense. And genuinely, when you encourage them to give their authentic reaction, a lot of times the content will come out better. The next ad type is objection handling. This is a technique where you very simply identify the concerns that your customers are having and call them out in your messaging. And there are a number of different ways you could do this. You could do this through a customer quote, you could do this through a question, you could do this through a TikTok comment response bubble. Basically, whatever your customers are saying through their feedback, through their reviews, through surveys, through support tickets, through ad comments, find out why they were hesitant to buy it and then sprinkle that into your messaging for the top of funnel. This next one is the Pubity Style ad, and if you're active on Instagram, you'll know exactly what this is. Pubity is a publication that posts news stories in this style. We have millions and millions of people actively consuming their content on Instagram like this every single day. So if we can format our ads in this style, we're going to be able to tap into that audience and buy that extra half a second that you need to sell them on the product. And that is all we're trying to do here. The reason that these ad styles work is not because there's anything revolutionary about them, it's because they will not trigger someone's ad receptors as quickly as most of the ads out there do. And that extra subconscious half a second to a second can make a massive difference in getting someone to consume your ad and then hopefully go onto the site. And this doesn't just apply to the Pubity style. I mean, there are hundreds of types of organic content that you can create. I've seen people make ads out of a Forbes article, out of a press hit, out of a meme style, tweet style, Instagram stories. Anything that people are used to seeing natively on their feeds, think about how could we format our ad in this style too. The next type of ad that we're going to talk about is the founder ad. And I can hear you sighing. I know that you don't want to be in front of the camera, but let me tell you why they're so effective. At the end of the day, no one can talk as authentically about a product as the founder. So get ChatGPT to prepare a few questions for you and just get your phone out and hit record. It does not have to be anything fancy. Just get on and tell your story. Or you can think about combining it with one of the other angles that we've talked about today, like the podcast angle. Just like this ad from Magic Mind, where they literally had the creative strategist behind the camera asking the prompting questions and then letting the founder riff on it. And that ad has been running for almost 2 years now. So hopefully this video has given you some inspiration to go and test some of these creative styles out yourself. If you found this video valuable, drop a like and let me know in the comments below. We drop weekly videos like this on AI and advertising, so subscribe if you have not already. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.